What's up, everybody, and welcome to a new series from me here, Matt, at Backmarkers F1. Sort of not so lovingly called What the F FIA. This series is not intended to replace the Backmarkers F1 regular material in any way. It's more of a quick and dirty, if you will, just audio, really, just me yammering on. Hope to make this a regular series if you guys like it. What I think about things that the FIA does, and F1 in general, but mostly the FIA, because let's be honest, is there any more what the f body than the FIA? So, for those of you horribly out of the loop, or those of you new to F1, welcome, as what's his face? Wow, Brundle. I completely dropped Brundle's name. You could see the quality of this is unscripted, off the cuff, just me yammering, so apologies if Martin Brundle somehow listens to this. I doubt he will. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, the FIA came out today with some sweeping new regulations for 2014. One of which I'm okay with, one of which I don't know why, and the other of which is completely what the f FIA. So, to start off with the good news, cost cap measures will be instituted in 2015. I say good only on the surface, and I say it in air quotes, because we all know how well the last universal cost cap measures went. Oh wait, it broke up Concord. Not Concord. FODA. Well, I guess it kind of almost broke up Concord too with Russia in the beginning, but yeah, no, broke up FODA. Because the big teams will always find a way to circumvent these regulations and get more money. The small teams will always pick up on these ways, but then just not have the capital to compete with the big boys. That's why you see teams headed up by such eclectic minds like Tony Fernandez or Richard Branson still fail to score a point after 3 years. Money is not everything, it's just how much of it you can put in at one time. Branson and Fernandez probably could put a lot more money into it, but they can't just throw their life savings into a Formula One program, and they don't have their own track and consumer car brand like Ferrari do, or a trillion-dollar fizzy drinks industry like Red Bull do, but that's neither here nor there. So cost-cutting on the surface, good thing. The what the hell kind of thing is permanent driver numbers with the exception of champion. Now, I don't. The reason I say what the hell is because it's something I'm not quite sure needs to be done. It really doesn't satisfy anyone. I can't imagine. The casual viewer really doesn't care what number a car is. They know a team and a driver association, and eventually they might pick up on the helmets. But with numbers the way they are these days, they're so small they can't be seen by anyone. So well, let's assume they make those bigger for the sake of argument here. So now you have a driver number association. But like IndyCar, unlike NASCAR, the champion can get number one. Now, that's going to be Sebastian Vettel, and probably until I'm 37. But you see what I'm saying here? There's still something that's not constant. So the champion can go back and forth or not go back and forth. So really, what does this do? What is the point of disrupting the modern tradition in Formula One, which is to have team numbers based off of constructors? I think it's sort of, for the higher tier teams, de-emphasizes the Constructors' Championship in a way. From a marketing standpoint, you know, the closer your number is to one, the better it looks. I mean, you know, I love you, Marussia. I love you. But to be honest, if anybody outside knows that the series ranks their driver numbers based on constructors, walking around with the number 25 cap is sort of like, what the hell? Versus walking around with the Sebastian Vettel number one, yeah, as a finger boy. That was horrible. Sorry, Marvin. It has more marketing punch to it, obviously, with number one, but then even something like number 3 or 4. It just has a sort of extra prestige that goes with it, especially for the teams that don't need the money, like your Ferraris, like your Red Bulls, like your... Well, I'm not even sure about McLaren anymore. But besides that, it just adds that little extra incentive. I don't really understand it. Besides, that incentive is going to be massively impacted now due to the what the f decision by the FIA, which is the last race on the calendar will be a double points race. Now, there are many reasons if you go on the Twitter sphere why people are all up in arms about this and all pissed off and all everything. But there's one key thing that I picked up on that I don't think many people have touched on, if anybody yet, in the F1 sphere as it is. And that is this measure by the FIA, I think, perfectly encapsulates the hypocrisy of this organization. Let me explain. The FIA says, okay, last race of the season is going to be a double points event. Now, traditionally, what teams have done towards the end, of course, you want to develop your car, make it faster, but towards the end of the season, you sort of cut off that year's car development and start transferring more of it to the next year's development. Especially if you're sort of on the fringe of the championship, you're mathematically really, you're close, but you're not really there. They start dumping money into next season because then that way you could try to get a leg up on your competitors. Now, that costs money, of course, to develop your car. Especially when you're doing that year's developments, it's not just a theoretical concept, okay, let's put something in a computer, run some code, see what this does. It's we need to manufacture this and get it on our car and get it racing now. A lot more money involved, shipping, manufacturer, all that stuff. Simultaneously, the FIA says they're trying to do everything they can to cut the costs of the sport. So you see what I'm getting at here. They want to cut costs while simultaneously promoting greater expenditure by the teams who will now be forced to develop all the way to the end of the season on that year's car, because now all of a sudden you have double points at stake. And now if this were something like a double points for a prestigious race like Monaco, or if we had something along the lines of an enduro race for like a double length race, for example Canada in 2011, where it was the 4-hour event, something along those lines. If we had a really long race or something, okay, fine, sort of like WTF does with Le Mans. I get it, I understand that, but just to tack it on to the end of the season, and also to institute this completely coincidentally, when the season finale has been moved to Abu Dhabi, I don't buy it. Not just for the hypocrisy reasons, but because Bernie, for a long time, has been on the Middle East and trying to milk the Middle East for all it's worth. Now, if we actually had some good venues with good attendance at the Middle East, more power to them. No problem with the Gulf states, no problem with the Middle East at large. If we can have a great Grand Prix there, we can have a great Grand Prix there. Whatever. But we don't really have great Grand Prix there. Bahrain, political situation aside, is boring as hell. Abu Dhabi, with 2 years ago, accepted because of car failure and general brain fade by most of the field. Besides those races, boring as hell. And we now have Vinale there on a track where it's almost impossible to pass in a new era where engines are going to be failing left, right, and center. You make that a double points race when teams are already spending a shit ton of money to institute your new V6 engines, which you say are all eco-friendly and shit, but really aren't that much lower on emissions, and it's not the big problem anyway. And you're spending millions upon millions of dollars on this powertrain while saying you're going to save money and then awarding double points for a race that is at the very end of a season where teams would traditionally be saving money because they're investing it in hypothetical concepts and not in actual production. I don't get it. I just don't understand it. I don't know if Bernie has gone completely senile, or it's not Bernie, it's Jean Todt. Jean Todt maybe have been going completely senile. He's not that old, I don't think. Isn't he like 60-something? I don't know. Who won a rigged election by all accounts. Don't even get me started down that path. Just wanted to put that out there. My thoughts on these regulation changes. If you guys like this little audio dash, let me know. I might try to put video to it. I don't really have a webcam, so I'm going to have to get one of those if you guys want me to keep doing this. Like I said, this is not going to replace the regular content and won't replace the podcast, but podcasts, as you've noticed, are irregular because we have to organize a bunch of time zones and our lives are crazy. This is going to take me all of 10 minutes, then another 10 of cropping, chopping, and uploading, and I'll get it out to you guys. So let me know what you think. Do your thing, and peace out, guys. Have a good one.